What's that mean? When do I use this? What's that button do?
Never a dull moment at the Springs.
The 4x4 Insiders, an off-road show for the everyday four-wheel driver, whether you've been doing it for years or just starting off. This is the place to go for your off-road tips, great adventures, a good laugh, and an inside look into the lifestyle that goes hand in hand with owning a four-wheel drive.
That was
Are you not entertained?
The 4x4 Insiders, the Good Oil podcast, is brought to you by Mad Matt 4-Wheel Drive and the Springs 4x4 Park. Welcome back to another episode of the Good Oil 4x podcast. Boys, we're back. What's been going on?
There's been so much going on.
So
much going on, mate. I didn't want to take the limelight, but here we are. Mate, the Springs has been going off, as always. We've had great guests, plenty of attempts at the infamous beer at Clock Hill, and
Yes.
all the rest of it. But I actually had the very first Mitsubishi Triton coming through the park, which hopefully down the path.
Of the new ones?
Yeah, one of the brand new ones. Very first, and believe it or not, it wasn't his car, it was a loaner.
Did he take it up Beer at Clock Hill?
No, we did.
Oh.
No, he was pretty reserved with it. He took it out unscathed and unhurt, but yeah, I've got some feedback on that, which hopefully in an episode in the not too distant future I could share with you guys.
That would be
Interesting.
good. Interesting.
Interesting. Matty, what's been going on?
Oh, dude, just doing cool stuff. You know what I'm excited about, Dave? Something you and I did together. And
yeah,
that is
coming out.
Yeah, I know. Exploring Off the Grid TV show. We went up Cape York, and I don't know if people know what an expedition truck is. That's what they call them. But they, you've definitely seen them on the roads. They're like, and that's what Dave himself owns as well. And it's like a Isuzu, generally speaking. They're Isuzus, NPS, big four-wheel drive, singles on the back end. They take the dualies off, 37-inch tyres. These are big monster trucks. And so we've got two of those, one from Rick Shervy, Shervy's Solar and Power and Sat, and we've got the guys from ATW who build these trucks. And we've also got Ree from Airbag Man in their Ram comes along.
We had a few visitors this time.
We did. And then, anyway, that was so much fun. And the first episodes are out, and it's good TV, if I do say so myself.
Clearly, Matt was involved with that.
Yeah, clearly. No, look, it was the first. I've done 2 seasons of this show now, and this is Matt's first one, and it was good fun having Matt and Mrs. Matt along for the trip. Matt, so probably the first time in Matt's life he's felt small in a 200 series stretched vehicle.
There was one section in the show where we're driving along and we're talking about that, and my 200 is not a small vehicle.
No.
But compared to these trucks, it's like, going touring with us in my little Suzuki Jimny, It's
Well,
like...
and to be fair, both trucks were towing trailers with buggies. One of them had 2 buggies on it.
Yeah.
We're talking, 11, 12-ton setups.
I think the highlight was when I got to be the recovery for Rick when he got bogged.
Yes, Rick. Yeah, he did get bogged, and the 200 series. In saying that, 200 series very nearly got itself bogged at the same time, but Matt did manage to get out of that unscathed.
There's a difference between nearly and getting.
It's true. But no, it was good fun. We kicked off out in Mount Isa, and we did a cool journey across through the Gulf, up into some of the indigenous lands along the western side of Cape York, and it was really, really cool. Met some really great people. Nathan from Wild Reaches, big standout, legend of a bloke. Apart from the fact that look, we can't go into too much details, but let's just say there was at one stage that I was very upset with Nathan because I thought he'd forgotten that we're there to film a TV show, and he just likes fishing too much.
You could say we lost Nathan.
We did lose Nathan for a little while, and you'll watch the show and you'll see what happened. But
yes,
I was a bit filthy for a while.
The other bloke that we met was Woodsy from Han River Roadhouse.
Of course, you'll bring him up because he loves Toyotas.
Yes, Lucas, you'd like.
We're not
him.
all perfect.
Yeah.
I would say, though, you'd have to respect this, Lucas, I think. He has a 79, like HDJ 79, so FTE 79, stretched, coiled rear. It is a beautiful thing to watch drive tracks, right? Reduction gears, auto, like it's like a rock crawler, but still tows a camper trailer. Right.
Nice.
I think it's on 35s. I think, Matt.
I think so. And he can wheel. Like he knows how to wheel. It's just he picks his lines. He just crawls through, and he towed a camper with his quad bike on the back, and just
nice.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And he's a good bloke too. So Matt, tell us a bit about Han River. You had
to make sure you said that right, didn't you?
I did. Checked.
So Woodsy and Dave and the whole crew set me up. So Dave, who was producing and filming the show, he's like, "So Matt, I need you to do an interview with Woodsy about the Han River Roadhouse." So we sit down, and my first question, as per producer Dave, is, "So Woodsy, what's how long have you been at the Han River Roadhouse?" And the act was all morning they'd been setting me up to say the Han River Roadhouse.
We've been calling it Han all morning. Han.
Han. Sorry, Han. Yeah, like really the beer. The Han River Roadhouse. So I'm like, so tell us a little bit about the Han River Roadhouse. And Woodsy slams the table, spits the dummy, and storms off. And that was the freak. So
we got him good. And Matt was just like, just knowing Matt, you know Matt, like, he hates offending anybody unless it's you or me. And then it's okay. Here's a quick image of the machine, Woodsy's machine.
Oh, come on.
So obviously, so it still flexes like a Toyota then.
He removed the flex. It had a flex delete system in it.
That's standard on Toyotas, mate, so it doesn't matter.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, well, look, I think it's time to get into our first segment of this week, which is we move things around this episode, and we're kicking off with off-road advice.
Have you ever wondered, when should I use low range? When should I use high range in my four-wheel drive? Soft shackles are becoming a key part of the four-wheel driver's toolkit, and it's a good thing that they are. Should I fit a front locker or a rear locker first?
Yep, it's that time for off-road advice. Well, off-road advice this week, we've had a message sent in, and it says, "Hey Insiders, I've been trying to explain tyre pressures to a few mates of mine." Now, this is a classic, right? Who are only just getting into four-wheel driving. So he's got a couple of mates who are only just getting into four-wheel driving. Are you able to explain why we let our tyres down in really simple terms so that I can share your podcast with my friends and they'll understand? Right? It's a classic. Tyre pressures, Explain it. Simple.
Come on, Lucas. Over to you, mate.
Go, mate.
Well, tyre pressure. The difference of destroying tracks, destroying tyres, destroying motor vehicles, or driving an obstacle, quite well. So is my short story of that. So if you're going to run street pressure when you're off-road, obviously the car's going to struggle more. It's going to lose traction. You're going to damage the track. You're going to damage your car. So what pressure should you run? In my opinion, it depends on the terrain and what you're going to be doing. So, like if you're doing 80 kilometres an hour over some corrugations through the Simpson Desert or what have you, you'll have different tyre pressure there than you will if you're doing rock crawling or you're on the beach. So tyre pressures vary a lot. So I think that's probably where this question's come from, because there's a lot of confusion based around that stuff. So also comes into consideration the weight of your motor car. So, you can't run 4 PSI in a F250, for instance, or Matt's bloody nursing home that he drives around. But you would run 4 PSI quite comfortably in a little Suzuki Jimny because it doesn't weigh anything. So you're going to have less tyre bag and all that sort of stuff. But Fraser Island, for me, would be somewhere around that 12 to 15 PSI on a reasonably weighed vehicle, like not a super heavy car. And the reason for doing that is it spreads out the footprint of your tyre. So it doesn't make your tyre wider. The idea of it is to make your tyre longer. So the tread pattern has a bigger footprint contact with the ground surface, obviously reducing the amount of ground pressure that is in one point. And you can sit on top of the sand instead of trying to dig through the sand. So
kind of makes your tyre like a track on a bulldozer to
well,
a small extent.
Absolutely. So there is there's a post on my page from ages ago of the different footprint that a tyre has at different pressures. So like a 40 psi tyre on the ground is probably like 4 fingers, probably not even that, maybe even 3 fingers worth of contact patch per tyre on the ground. If you let that tyre down to like an extreme pressure low, say 10 psi, it's almost 2 handprints. So you've gone from, you know, one handprint per tyre to 2 handprints across the whole vehicle.
You've
like,
doubled your traction to some degree.
You have, and ground pressure.
And ground pressure, yeah.
So yeah,
I think a lot of people talk traction as opposed to ground pressure, and I think both are just as important for the conditions that you're driving.
What do you reckon about you lower your tyre pressure, now your diffs and your under vehicle is a lot closer to the ground? So you go from, let's say, 40 psi to 10 psi as your example.
Yep.
So we've reduced the profile of the tyre, the height of the side of the tyre, by, say, 2/3. How's that going to affect us off-road? We're now like 100 or, say, 70 mil closer to the ground under the vehicle.
Well, obviously, it's all about line choice, you know, and as you say, Matt, follow on the water. So you keep the lowest part of the track underneath the middle section of your vehicle, so you're not banging it on rocks and getting hung up on the tops of ruts and things. But a very quick point to keep in mind, if you're in slippery, like red clay conditions and you're at low pressure, I think you've got to be very careful sitting up on top of those ruts, because if you fall into the rut, you run the chance of it blowing the tyre off the bead. And then you got to pull out the brute and all sorts of stuff, put it back on the bead. But that's a whole other story for another time. But it certainly does reduce your ground clearance, but I think the ground clearance reduction is a small price to pay for the extra traction gained that you're going to get from a low tyre.
It's one of the areas where an independent vehicle has an advantage over a live axle front vehicle. So independent vehicles tend to have a flatter under vehicle platform, like a skid plate, and that tends to skid over let's think sand up on Fraser Island. It tends to skid over the sand in the middle of the rut, whereas like my 105, which has a pumpkin, you know, the front differential there, that differential housing is pushing through the sand the whole time, and so is the rear differential. So
adding kind of a
resistance,
but so there's a resistance that is a solid object as opposed to just a skid. Yeah.
So it is an interesting balance there. Just to go back to it, like you were saying, Lucas, it's really hard to give people a clear answer to what tyre pressure they should drop to, because what I say is every track, every driver, and every tyre needs a different tyre pressure for 100%. A given situation. So what the rough rule of thumb I give to people to answer this question is drop about 1/3 of the road going pressure that you've been running from your tyres. So easy math, because that's all I can handle. Let's assume we're doing 30 psi is our road pressure. We're going to drop those tyres down to 20 psi as a starting point. Start there. You drive onto the beach, let's say, and you get instantly bogged. Don't panic. Just jump out and drop another 5 psi and see how you go. Drop another 5 psi, see how you go. Once you're getting down towards 10 psi, you want to really know what you're doing and be very cautious around that pressure. But the other thing I was going to say, and it's kind of hard to describe without having a graph or a visual, but when you drop a tyre from 40 psi to 35 psi, the amount of track or tyre pressure on the road is only a minimal increase. Let's say we go from 3 fingers to 3.5 fingers when we drop 5 psi out, when we go from 40 to 35. But let's go down to 20 psi and drop 5 psi out. We're going to find that we go from 3 fingers to about 5 fingers or even more. So the lower the pressure, the more impact a small tyre pressure change has on the tyre. So when you get right down low, and like in my mind, anything below 15 psi for the most vehicles is getting into very low pressure. So when you get down to, let's say, 12 psi and you're bogged, drop your tyres just to 10 psi, only 2 psi out, but it will make a huge impact to how the vehicle performs. Do you agree with that, guys?
Absolutely.
In your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great point where just testing the terrain with your tyre pressure. So, drop it down, test it out, see how you go. If that's not good enough, drop it down a little bit more. So the other thing to take into consideration as well as beach driving is over rocks and tree roots and things like that. The tyre will actually conform to those shapes and grab it like a hand grabbing a ladder, and that will obviously help you maintain traction and momentum that we spoke about in a previous episode to get to the top of whatever it is you're trying to get to the top of. So
I think one of the big things that people forget when we talk tyre pressures is you've got to have a good tyre to start with to be able to properly use tyre pressures to your advantage. That's my big one. Like people say, oh, you don't need any mods, you just need tyre pressure. You run a highway tyre that's low ply sidewall and you run that in low pressures and you just have to touch a rock or a stick on that sidewall and you've got a puncture.
Yeah.
Right? If you've got a good quality all-terrain, mud-terrain tyre that's got a good solid sidewall and protection, you can just do more with tyre pressure.
Absolutely.
So, back to the question, we let our tyre pressures down to allow us to get further off-road, but you've got to have the right gear in order to be able to use that to its full potential. That's probably a key 100%. Point I would like to make on that.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah. So if you had to, his big thing here, right, is are you able to explain why we let our tyres down in really simple terms, right? Like, Matt, can you try and sum that up for us? Like, why do we let them down?
Yep. So, okay, so I'll try and answer it as...
Well, so I like throwing those ones at Matt because I can't do it.
Yeah.
My answer is we just do it.
Just because.
Just because Lucas said.
Yeah.
I think the simple reason we let our tyres down is experience has told us that it will get you further off-road with less damage to the track and less damage to your vehicle.
Great.
That's what experience has taught us.
Yeah.
So just do it.
Yeah. Look. Yeah. And honestly, but let's be honest. How many of us do that whole? You hit dirt and you're like, can't be that far. We'll just stay on road and then you're sitting there going, and this is so much worse in my truck because my road pressure is like, and this is nothing compared to the big heavy ones, but my road pressure is 65 PSI.
So's mine. Yeah.
Right? Like that's still low for a truck. A lot of the guys run 90 PSI. I'm running 60. And so for me to load I could let mine down to 40 and it'd be heaps nicer. But 40 PSI on 37, so 20 PSI down on 37s will take me half an hour to get back. So
it takes half an hour to get down.
Well, that too.
Well, I think, okay, with great caution, I'll open this can of worms. Okay, so like so much of the advice we're providing in the Good Oil podcast, we're providing it making some assumptions about who's listening. And the assumption is that we're assuming that it's somebody who knows a little bit, but they want to know more. And let's face it, I am definitely that person. I know a bit and I want to know more. I'm always looking to learn, and I know you guys are as well. But having done this fall driving for like over 30 years, I've been active in this space. I've got a heap of experience. So what that translates to is when I hit a dirt road and it's like I'm going to be on the dirt road for 20 Ks, let's say, and it's corrugated or whatever, my driving skill and knowledge allows me to drive that road without dropping tyre pressures because I know I'm going to slow down a bit. Okay, that's the first thing. But I also know how to position the vehicle on the road so that I get a better ride from the vehicle and avoid punctures and stuff. And I don't know how necessarily to communicate that into words because it's just an experience thing. It's like a mechanic who knows how to handle a spanner to get down into a tight spot and operate the spanner with two fingers. Without experience, you can't do it. And it's just
ripping half the car apart to get to that screw.
yeah. But a mechanical, just through years of doing it, just knows how to work it and make it happen. And so there's certain things in the four-wheel drive space which a very experienced and competent four-wheel driver will do, which to somebody who doesn't have their depth of experience will look at and go, that's bad, that's irresponsible, that's this, that's that. And it's because the professional knows how to live in the grey space of the world, whereas the beginner's looking at the black and white.
Yeah.
I've been told this is what I must do. That's very black and white.
Yeah.
And the professional pretty much never lives in that black space. This is the interesting part with recoveries. You see, every single four-wheel drive recovery is a grey space. There is absolutely no black and white in recoveries. But to try and help people begin to think about recoveries, we have to give them a few so-called black and white rules. So, one of the black ones is you must run an air damper. I never run air dampers. Now, I've just upset the internet, and the internet's just broke saying that. But air dampers don't realistically have much of a purpose when you know how to perform four-wheel drive recovery safely and use correctly rated gear, etc., etc. And the simple example of this is go and look at the craneage industry. I've never seen a crane with an air damper on a cable, but it's because it's regulated and they know how to, their gear's up to spec,
or a tow truck pulling something up.
Right.
Exactly. That's a regulated industry and they don't use anything like that. Yeah.
And so when I do a four-wheel drive recovery, I'm applying the same principles as they are to my four-wheel drive recovery. So when I'm talking about recoveries, what I'm thinking in my head is, how do I give my audience a whole bunch of tools so that they can think about their recovery that will be unique to their situation and apply the tools in the safest way they possibly can, so that they get out of that bogging situation.
And look, I think we probably need to do one on recoveries because Matt's just taken a hard left.
I was like, that was Matt's version of tyre pressure. That much about tyre pressure, but that much about recoveries.
but we get the point, right? The point is
we do.
There's a grey area, and we've got people with experience comes the experience to walk in the grey area.
Yeah.
But with tyre pressures, I think the guidance for our question asker here, and I didn't actually get a name written down for this one, sadly, but the advice is, I think what you said before is great, and I think the whole 1/3 of your tyre pressure as a starting point is great, and then going down in increments from there, and just see what works for your vehicle, and that's the fun thing about it, right? It's not like you don't get an instruction manual that says go to this and you'll be fine. That's half the fun, is working out what's fine. I run a certain pressure on the front to the back, but then that was challenged to me the other day with my truck because of my weights of my truck, and I'm like, actually the front's heavier than the back in my truck. But for years, I've always run more pressure in the back than the front because I'm used to having heavy rear-ended vehicles. But in fact, I've flipped that now on my truck, and it is heaps better because the weight is where the weight is. So you're always learning. So
I reckon to do a small version of that.
Oh, here we go.
Increment pressure is very important. So drop those pressures down to a reasonable, happy medium that you find for the conditions that you're in. I probably wouldn't go any lower than 10 psi unless you need it to get yourself out of a really sticky situation. And when you get out of that situation, bump it back up to where you're happy.
Yeah.
But just heavy motoring on the beach, follow the speed limits and the road rules, and you'll do just fine.
Awesome. Well, we're going to roll into our next segment, which is this one.
There are dumb drivers, and then there's this.
With the four-wheel drive abandoned on a muddy dirt track at Mount Disappointment.
First, Grenadier, Ineos, of course, at the Beer Clock Hill.
I've just spent a couple of days four-wheel driving with the Ford Ranger Wild Track X.
It's time for What's News? Our favourite segment, or one of my favourite segments anyway, is some stuff that's going on in the world of four-wheel driving. And this week, we're starting off with an interesting one, being that Christmas has just passed. And this is a news article that came out just before Christmas, actually, with a location in South Australia that were very, very worried about damage to their tracks and damage to their beaches by four-wheel drivers. So I'm going to share the screen here, but this is a beach in South Australia. And the big thing was, yeah, just look at the lineup there, right?
Yeah.
So this is Goolwa Beach, South Australia, and the biggest problems they had, and the whole point of the news story was, we're going to have to change some rules about how we run this beach. It's obviously been a bit of a free-for-all beach. We've all had those around the country. You know, there's been little ones up the central coast of New South Wales that have been, shut down recently, which is frustrating. But there's been these beaches, I think one that comes to mind, Matt's like Redhead Beach up in Newcastle. Stockton's been regulated for years, but there's these little ones. And this one looks like a place that everyone wants to go to at Christmas, and it looks horrible. What are your thoughts, Matt, on this as a starting point before we get into what they've suggested changing?
Yeah, look, here's the difficulty. As beaches get closed, and oftentimes it's councils that close it, so their mandate is just to look after their council area. But when you look at a bigger picture, as a beach gets closed, it means that people go to another beach. So the pressure on a given beach increases and increases. And over the time I've been wheeling, we have seen the pressure on the areas that are open increase for two reasons. One is because there's areas closed. The other is the number of people that are wanting to enjoy a legitimate family recreation of four-wheel driving has increased. And I'm all for the increase. I just think we really need to start seeing places opened up, not closed up. As much as I understand the concept from a council's, when you sit in a council's seat, you go, you know what's easiest to do? Close it. Just put a gate across it, close it, problem solved.
Yeah.
And for them, it's just about solving problems. But realistically, for our community, we need to keep these places open. And it's no one single person's job to solve that problem. As a user, I need to use the place appropriately. As a council, they need to keep the place open and have a bigger view of what was brought to their community on the day of this. Every single one of those vehicles, I'll bet you they stopped at the servo, they bought some groceries, they did this, they did that, and that's all income that comes into the community. Yeah. So I think I really wish we'd see this change around, but I personally won't go to a beach that's loaded with people like that.
I'll tell you what, if I rocked up and that was the lineup to get onto the beach, I'd just be going to the pub. Honestly, it's pointless.
I'll find other options.
Now, Lucas, I'll go to you in a second, but what they've suggested, right? State government's introduced a default speed limit of 40k an hour on the beach, and an interesting development on that, which is 25 k's an hour when passing or within 50 metres of a person on all South Australian beaches. Now, I think this is a pretty bloody good rule, and the fact that there's a good solid fine and demerit points for being an idiot. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, mate, I think it's fantastic. I think it is absolutely fantastic from the point of view of, number one, safety. Number two, it's just common sense road rules apply. 25 kilometres an hour past a person on the beach, as opposed to whatever. So let's just say 80 kilometres an hour past a person on the beach.
Yeah, like Gary. Yep.
So you might have someone, just say Dad's got his fishing rod. He's fishing out on the beach. The car's on the other side of the path of where the vehicles go between him and that vehicle. And Dad hooks up a fish. one of the kids goes, "Oh, Dad's got a fish," runs out from behind the car. Next minute, you've got a vehicle moving at 80 kilometres an hour along a beach, or 100. Jump on the pics. It's on the sand. It isn't going to stop like it stops on the road. And this child gets injured. We can't even contemplate what may or could happen. So 25 kilometres an hour on the beach, you hit the pics and you can stop reasonably quickly in that sort of scenario. So, mate, 100% support that. And I think it should have been done years ago, and it should be standard across all beaches.
Look, I think that's a great call, to be honest. It's one of the things, don't get me wrong, I was in Fraser a couple of weeks ago, and my cousin was behind me, and he constantly had to remind me, 40 zone, Dave, because I enjoy that, just cruising down the beach and sitting in a nice speed that just lets the car kind of flow, and then you go to 40 and it just doesn't flow as well, and it's really frustrating.
Yep.
But it's because they're the popular areas, right? But at the same time, you'll be doing, there's other spots where there's big holes where people are fishing, and it happens all the time, and you should definitely slow down. I'll put my hand up and say there are times I haven't, and I should have, absolutely. But I think this is a good thing. I think it's hard to police, obviously. Like, is the copper sitting there? They're going to set up someone, fishing on the beach so they can sit there with their radar and catch you out. Like, I think it becomes a hard one to do. But I think with anything, it just comes down to common sense. If someone's driving like an idiot,
That's dangerous.
I know, it's hard to say. Says the guy from the 4Drive Park who goes, common sense, I wish people had that who came here.
Yeah, there's a box at the front gate where they drop it in and leave it there.
Leave it, and they pick it up when they... The other interesting part about this was that there was a note in there that said visitors should also be aware that the vehicle access track to the beach, and I assume the beach as well, is open to four drives only, and there are no recovery services for bogged vehicles.
Yeah.
Who goes on the beach without a four? I've seen it. We've all seen it. But who? What?
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem with that is people buy cars like all-wheel drives, and I don't know how to say this diplomatically without landing myself in hot water, but
go for it.
People from overseas, right? Let's put that bracket
like
around.
New Zealanders or something, maybe. Yeah.
But you get people that come from overseas and they see the lifestyle of Australians being on the beach, the golden sand, the beautiful blue ocean, and the sunshine. Like, it's just doesn't get much better than that. But they want a part of that. They want to be want a piece of that. And down in Sydney, for instance, you go to Bondi and it's just absolutely madness. Yeah. Like, there's
a whole TV show about all the people that stuff up.
But so they see us off-roaders and they go, "Oh, I want a piece of that. That looks amazing. Take my car up the Golden Sands, blah blah blah." So I've seen videos of Mercedes and Teslas and like all sorts of vehicles trying to get into these areas, which you guys can go to these areas, but you just can't take your car where the full drive access only sections are. There is car parks, and you can do a short walk over the dunes, which is on a designated track. You can take your family down there and you can enjoy the Golden Sands. But to take a non-four-wheel drive vehicle onto an Australian beach in any circumstance is just madness. And all you're going to do is choke up the tracks, dig up the tracks, and hold up every other holiday maker that's trying to get into those areas.
Good point.
It's, how much of this is just human nature basically coming back to selfishness? It's my right to go to the beach, and I can go to the beach however I want, and I don't give a stuff about you.
And that's the thing. I'd love it if people with that attitude, everyone just did the same attitude to them when they got stuck and just left them. But generally speaking, most four drivers will help other people out, even if they're stuck, because we have that mentality.
We do, and you kind of have to, because they're blocking the track.
It's like when there's a patrol stuck in Gala Rocks, like every time I get up there, and
you're kidding.
And you have to pull it out.
A patrol?
What? I'll tell you, just on the thing that you raised there, and to change the subject very, very quickly, on what you said, Matt, about people feeling entitled, right? So these I'm going to call them Muppets, but these Muppets think that they're entitled to anything and everything, and get out of my way, I'm an Australian or whatever, and I'll be doing it. Like they don't give it any more thought than that. And in previous years at the park, we've had that here. So to give you an example, I've chipped people in the park. Like I'm pretty strict on my rules, and I won't put up with stupid behaviour. And if I catch you being stupid, it's you and your mates. Like I just kick the whole group out. So it's up to you to look after your mates, right? So I've had these conversations with people, and the comments that they've thrown back at me are, "I've paid me fees, mate." I'm like, okay, so you've paid your fees. I just give you my property and I leave. Like you've got right to do whatever the heck you like. Like it's just absolute, and it's the same for the beaches. No, even if you buy a beach pass or a permit or access to a national park or whatever the heck it may be, that is a privilege for you to be there. It is not a right. And there's rules and regulations in place to not only protect the land, the property, the owners of the land, all that stuff, but it's also for your own protection. So as far as access to the beach, take a quality four-wheel drive with the right tire pressure that we just spoke about, and if you're unsure, get some advice from people like Dave. I'd say Matt, but he drives Toyota.
Dave drives Toyota too.
I've had all of them. Don't worry, it's all good.
But it's like the people feeling like they're entitled, and I think that's part of the problem of the generation coming through is you're not entitled, even to drive a motor vehicle on the road. It's a privilege. It's not a right. So start treating it that way. Start looking after our beautiful country in all aspects.
It's not like these people have done something that means that they deserve it, which is a common comment. I deserve it. You don't deserve squat, mate. You've done nothing. Yeah. I don't deserve anything that I've got. I've done nothing to deserve it. So one of the things I say regularly is to try and help people think this through is you've got to access these places and respect the land manager. Now, you might not agree with the land manager. You might not like and so when I come to the Springs, Lucas says there's no unregistered vehicles here. So I don't bring my unregistered race car there to just go wheeling because that's one of his rules that I have to respect. But he says, bring your 105 along and you can go and wheel the hardest tracks you can find. And if you want to put a track in up a new gully, let's go do that. And that's his rules. That's how he manages his land. When I go to a beach, do I like doing donuts? Yes, I do. Would I like to do donuts and burnouts on the beach? Yes, I would. I? No, I don't. Well, I am a hoon. I don't make any excuses for that. I am an absolute hoon. But I don't do it on a beach. Why? Because the land manager, national parks, whether I agree with them or not, or whether I like them or not, is irrelevant. They say, if you want to access this place, this is how we expect you to behave. Yeah. So I respect it because I want to continue having access to those places.
Yeah. Well, all right. Just on the article there, just to because we've sort of got off track a little bit, but
stop blaming me for everything.
I think
I like how Lucas has got a bed in his background. I didn't notice that until just now. He's just ready to have a snooze if he wants.
Mate, man caves need beds. Absolutely.
Couch.
Yeah, halfway through a motor repair, mate, you need a little nap.
Snooze.
Just right there.
Sorry.
But no, just on that article, right? So for those that aren't watching this video feed, they're just listening. This article shows cars for as long as the eyes can see of lineup of vehicles trying to get on the beach, and then it has a shot of the beach of the same thing. Like the beach is no longer a golden sand; it's just metal cars and people. So
you're not doing 25 k's an hour there anywhere.
No, you're doing 5 if you're lucky. Probably get out and walk beside the car because it'll be quicker. But anyway, it's absolutely jam packed, and I think. I don't know if that particular beach you have to get a permit to go on that beach, or it's just free access, willy nilly. Go for gold.
It's free access at the moment. Yeah.
So, me as a park owner, right, and people may not agree with me here, and that's fine. I think that it's a responsibility of the council or whoever to have permits for access to that beach, and part of that permit process is to have a bit of an explanation, a tick box per se. To say, yes, I have a four-wheel drive that's got high and low range four-wheel drive. Yes, I understand tyre pressure. Like, just give them a brief outline of, beach driving, safety on the beaches, speed limits, which are now implemented, and there should be a fee, and that fee needs to go into maintenance of that beach, maintenance of that track, and potentially, I might be out of line, but when you come to the Springs Four-Wheel Drive Park, we have a chat to you at the front gate, right? We make sure that your fees are paid, you understand, the risks and all that stuff. Is there a point where we should have a gate or a ranger there that goes, you're not taking that in there, mate, you're going to just stuff the whole show. Where's your permit? And police it that way.
It's a controversial issue, right? Because people and I totally, I'm in the same camp as you, mate. I think as long as we're allowed to access it and you're not locked out of it, if you've got to do a couple of things to access a place, like if I go to a four-wheel drive park or if I go to take my kids to Holy Moly, the putt-putt golf place, right? Like you've got to sign the little thing that says, I won't swing the golf club into the wall. And I won't try and tee off like it's a driver inside the building, right? And we're all fine with it. And you pay your money and you go do it. I don't see a reason why more places can't be like that. The argument is always they don't have the staff, they don't have the money, they don't have the so-and-so to manage it. But parking stations manage it every day, and people just drive in and put their ticket in, and then they drive out at the end of the day. A simple setup like that. And I said it for years back at Stockton during a previous organisation I was involved in. Literally, online 5-question course. You literally go through, you say yes, you agree to the terms, you get your pass. It doesn't have to be even a fee. It can be a very small fee. It could be free. It doesn't matter. But you still need to get a permit so that you're on the beach. You've said you agree with it, which means when you don't, you can't get out of the repercussions that are going to come with it. And they know the rego plate. They know the details. You're accountable for you and your mates. And too bad, it's sad. If you stuff it up and you drive like an idiot, you're done. That's why we had a campaign called, sorry for the French, but we called it Dobby the Dickhead. And it worked pretty well for a while there. Of people actually, self-governing their idiot friends and calling them out. But yeah, tricky.
I think that self-governing thing would be a great thing. Here in Australia, we don't do it well, but over in the US, they seem to do it really well around self-governing. And the other trail users say, hey, dude, go and pick your beer bottle up. And because the peer group is larger on that side of go and pick your beer bottle up, the bloke who threw it out goes and does it. Whereas here in Australia, if I say that, and I've had this happen on the trails, I've gone up to blokes and they're, hey, man, go and pick your thing up, and you get told off. And I'm not a fighter. I couldn't fight my way over a paper bag. So I got no chance of defending myself in that. So nowadays what I tend to do is looking at them, I walk over and pick it up and take it away whilst looking at them.
Passive aggression. It's great.
Yes.
So no, I hear you, mate. And as far as that is concerned, the park, the way I police the park is if mates come in, just say there's 5-6 cars. The rules are if one of your mates stuffs up, so at 3 a.m. in the morning, puts his key in his car, he's going to go for a drive, the whole group gets kicked out of the park for life. And they get registered on a register that I have with all the other parks in the country. Nice. and they get potentially banned from them. It's up to those parks to make that decision based on what I've let them know. But I have their regos, I have their names, license numbers, like the whole lot, right? So it's up to you to look after your mates. If you see your mate going to get in a car, pull his head in. If you see your mate leave rubbish behind and you're the last man to leave, well, it's your responsibility to pick it up. So that's a very, very good culture in the park, and everybody pulls the chain. But I think that's probably a respect for the park. Maybe it's respect for myself, but it's also fear that they're not going to be welcome back here or any other park in the country. So let's do it everywhere, guys. Look after your mates.
I don't disagree. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's move on to our next little news topic, which I'm going to share. And this is one that Matt brought to our attention. This is pretty cool. And for those watching, listening in, hopefully you'll be able to hear this. But let's have a go.
From old mate saying there's a car. stuck on a train track. They pop up
Look at that, it's a
the
patrol.
drone, to a track, or a track, down
Who found this?
It
I
came
like
to
the
me.
recovery vehicle,
Oh yeah, there
even
you
though it's
go.
a high-no.
Wow.
What was he thinking? Oh, he wasn't.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there you go. So very close call. So what we're looking at, and for those that are listening, is it's a post from a Instagram channel called the Scenic Route Australia, who's obviously a travelling family travelling around in an expedition truck, and they've come across a patrol, which is great because it's a patrol bogged on a railway track, with a canoe on the roof and a dry salt lake behind. It's a classic, but it could have gone really, really bad. We've seen recently in the news big train crashes in the US, with people dying and all kinds of stuff from getting stuck on train tracks. First up, why are you on the tracks? Like, it's not like there's a track there to cross it.
Nah.
Yeah. Yeah. I got nothing, man.
It's a tough one, mate, and I think it comes down again, and I'm going to put it out there. These guys that are uneducated, unaware, and self-entitled, they just go, if I want to cross that train track right here, I'm crossing it here. There's crossings designed so you don't damage the rail. So even if he did make it, the chance of him damaging that rail or putting a twist in it or something that may derail a train it's fair income. It's real.
Well, I never thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're banging against it, trying to get off it.
It is absolute madness. And like, what went through your mind to think, oh yeah, I'm just going to cross here? Like fair income. It's so lucky those expedition guys were there and could help them. But for me, the video isn't about the expedition guys. It's about the pure stupidity of the people that have tried to cross that rail. Whether they were going to do it successfully or they ended up in that situation, they're endangering their own lives. They're endangering the rail operators' lives. Just absolutely stupid people. Come on, and wake up.
And the livelihood of however many businesses had gear on that train as well.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Like, this is the thing people don't think about. It's like, oh yeah, well, it wouldn't have done anything bad. Like, well, no, you could have killed someone. You could have meant that someone who needed that equipment now doesn't have it. And so many elements to it.
Like out there in Central Australia, these train tracks go for an awful long way. So how many points are there to cross over the railway line? There's probably not that many, but at some point he must have got to that side of the line. So just backtrack.
Yeah, it's absolutely. Now
and preparation.
Plan
your trip. Like if you're gonna have to get over the railway, plan the trip. Work out where the next crossing is. Don't just go across the railway willy nilly. Jesus.
Well, the next topic on our news this week, and we'll try and get through this one a bit quickly because we've had a good amount of time spent on just the news so far, which is great. It's all been good, but coming out pretty soon. They say middle of this year theoretically. Is a new vehicle from Ford, one of our, very popular manufacturer in Australia. And this is the all-new Super Duty, Ranger Super Duty. Now, this is causing a few waves in the media, and it looks a little bit different because this vehicle is claimed to have a 4.5-ton towing capacity. So we're talking mid-size four-wheel drive ute with the tow capacity of a US-style pickup truck. And we're talking an 8-ton GCM, I think they were saying, of this vehicle. And it doesn't look all that different to a Ranger from some of these kind of sneak peeks coming out across Drive and other websites. What are our first thoughts?
Well, they got a real problem with their numbers. They look fantastic, but they don't add up. So on the surface, you would think, I can tow 4.5 ton and I can have a GVM of 4.5 ton. but your GCM, your gross combined mass, is 8,000 kilos. So somewhere you've got to lose a ton. So if you want to tow at 4,500 kilos GVM, you can only tow 3.5 ton. If you want to tow 4.5 ton, you've got to have a vehicle that is at 3,500, so that you're meeting your 8,000 kilogram.
You can't have anything in it because it's not going to be that far
right.
off 3,500 weight anyway.
Yeah. So is it? I would assume it's probably going to have about a 1 ton
payload.
So then, like Lucas said in a previous podcast, you've got the weight of your person, your fuel, your bull bars, your additions, etc., etc. So, although the numbers look good on the surface, that GCM number, which you can't exceed, is quite a limiting fact. Now, if that was 9,000 kilograms, I'd be very excited.
Yeah, I don't know, Lucas.
Well, 4.5, 8 ton. I agree, Matt. It doesn't really add up, but to me, that's just the way forward roll. Like the Ranger that they've just, the what do they call it? The next gen Ranger, Ford Ranger. Absolute dog's breakfast as far as the V6 engine goes. They've had a lot of dramas. So I'm not sure what the engine is going to be in these things. Has it been released? Do you guys know?
No, there's not much detail on that.
26, so it's a long way off.
Yeah, so they're going to have to put a decent chunk of change under that bonnet to make it be able to haul that. And how are they going to get the reliability? Because the existing Ranger doesn't have that reliability. They're very, very ordinary. And once you have 8 ton of motor vehicle traveling down the highway, the skill issue comes into it for me. Like, with all due respect to those that may have big trucks and stuff at the moment, but Joe Blow that's got bucket loads of money goes, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to buy 4.5 ton GVM vehicle, and I'm going to put a 4.5 ton caravan behind it or whatever, toy hauler. That going down the road, I'm actually concerned that people are going to understand how that weight and how that vehicle is going to handle going down the road. Like, and on the same note, just quietly, I think it looks horrendous. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Look, the one, I guess, saving grace in Australia for this vehicle is that in order to actually drive this vehicle, you're going to need, at a minimum, an LR license, right?
Well, there you go. That's
like
LR or MR.
Well, LR is still
Light
not more than 8 ton GVM, right?
Right.
So, and that's GVM, not GCM. So it's different here. So I would say it's an LR. The difference between MR and LR is there's not a huge amount. It's just more about I think it's more about the trailer weight. I think I'd have to double check those details. I should know that off the head. I've got a HR, but I forgot about the lower classes because I didn't need them.
No.
But what is good means that anybody who buys this vehicle will have to at least do the theoretical course and knowledge that comes with getting an LR or an MR. So I would think that if this is the way vehicles are going to go in Australia, our individual state bodies should spend more time making sure these license categories teach people how to actually drive those kind of vehicles. I know it's been thrown around for years, the idea of a license to tow a caravan, and apart from the fact that it would decimate the caravan industry in Australia, which is why it's honestly a terrible idea, in my opinion, because it will destroy businesses. It is a great idea in theory, but if it creates a barrier to entry into that market, it'll have big implications in that space. However, this is a vehicle that you need to actually do a license to get. So why not put something in the training that goes with these licenses for towing, if a lot of people are going to start getting these vehicles for that purpose? Because you're not buying a Super Duty Ranger just to drive around. You're buying it with the purpose of towing something bigger, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm not a fan of the license idea because I don't think that'll solve the problem. Education will solve the problem, but where people get the education from, and it comes back to, I had a thing a while back which said that most drivers overestimate their driving ability and think they're better drivers than they actually are, which is quite challenging because I know that's the case for me. I think I'm a all right driver, but then I said this in a previous podcast. Like I get out on the racetrack and I really quickly realise I'm not that good a driver, and because you watch people do stuff and it's like I don't even know how you did that. That was very talented what you just did. So I think that's part of the thing is people realising that there's a lot more going on. So how do we educate people to understand that they don't have the skills to drive or to tow 4.5 ton? How do we educate people that you don't have the skills for that? Therefore, motivate them to go and get those skills.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. And speaking of towing abilities and towing capacities and all that kind of stuff, we're going to roll into our big one segment this week, which is an interesting one.
It's that time of the week when we take on the big questions. And this week is a cracker. The big one is brought to you by the Springs 4 Drive Park and Mad Map 4 Drive. Take it away, lads.
Well, we alluded to this in a previous episode, and the question was posed, are electric four-wheel drives the future of four-wheel driving in Australia? And Matt, you had a pretty straight answer on that.
I did. I sure did.
Yeah. Are you still thinking the same thing?
Electric four-wheel drives. Well, since last time when I said that till now, I've gone and done a whole bunch more research because, here
part of what we do.
Yeah, part of the Good Oil podcast is we actually like to come to our podcast prepared. so we sort of know what we're talking about. So I've done a bunch of research. So I will clarify my statement. EV, so as in a vehicle that can only drive on battery power and that's its sole source, I don't think that we're going to see them as an effective four-wheel drive here in Australia anytime soon. But,
why?
Well, I think why did you have to ask that question?
Just so everyone knows, Matt drives Toyotas too, by the way.
Yeah. Look, I think the technology, although battery tech is improving phenomenally fast and moving faster than we can keep up with it, that's what's happening there. Now, I think that battery tech it's more about the cost of manufacturing the batteries that is getting to an affordable point. The technology has been there is well developed in a lot of spaces, but it's just too expensive to put into a motor vehicle. So I think it's more about that cost point. But an electric only vehicle, there is no infrastructure for charging that vehicle in remote Australia or whatever, and the range isn't really there. So if we can now there are some EVs that are getting some pretty decent range in overseas markets, but we're not seeing that in Australia. Now, in Australia, in my mind, to have an EV that's got a good range, realistically, I think you want to be up towards 1,000 Ks if you're going to start going out into some of the country towns and stuff, because where are you going to charge this thing? So,
it's a good point. It's a good point, and I will throw this in, right? I want to share something because you're going to hate me when I say this, but
of course, Dave, of course.
Some of the stuff that's in the US currently in the EV space for off-road vehicles don't look all that bad, right? Now I know Lucas has a theory that every vehicle looks like an animal of some description, right? Like that's how he works it out.
He's got a little picture book, and he clicks through the pages, and that looks like a walrus.
Yeah.
A what? A walrus.
A walrus.
But what I want to bring up by this is some of these don't look too bad. Like they're pretty cool looking vehicles.
Lucas, do we know any other people who can produce stuff?
Oh, bloody hell. Mate,
Don't look too bad.
The only thing that you've won with me, mate, is not one of them looks like a Toyota, so I'm good there. But out of those, like you guys pick a car just purely by cosmetic, like the way these cars all look. I reckon the Hummer down the bottom right looks pretty cool. The
top left there is my pick. Is that a Ford?
F-150 Lightning?
Yeah, the 150.
Yeah. I actually like the Rivian. I don't mind the Rivian, which is bottom
What does
left.
that look like, Lucas?
Like,
looks like a bloody hippo. Look at the nostrils on it. And it's got a big caboose as well.
look. At least none of us like the Cybertruck, all right? Let's be honest.
Who has
You were
seen
talking
a
about Lego
Cybertruck?
cars the other week. That's the definition of a car that was just, the drawings that your kid draws when they start to draw cars? That's where Cybertruck's design came from.
Yeah.
Have either of you guys actually seen a Cybertruck in person?
No.
Nah.
I have.
Did it
In
look
fact,
just
I've
as
seen-
bad?
Yeah, they're not good. So seriously, so I saw them at SEMA this last year when I was at SEMA. They had heaps of them there, and I was dumbfounded. So see where the headlight is. Well, at the headlight, if you're listening to this on podcast, you obviously can't see it. But where the headlight is, that whole side panel is basically looks like a sheet of aluminium that's been stuck on the side of the car and hand finished with a file. Like, there's no shape or form to it. It's just laser cut out. Hey, yeah, that'll do. Slapped on. But, it really
This
didn't
is the
excite me.
interesting part, right? The interesting part about this is this here. We're not talking terrible range.
Yeah,
Right? Like, no, but I'm just
For
being
Australia,
honest.
we are, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
okay, for Australia. America's a big place as well.
Yes.
Probably more infrastructure than here. But, like, I think over 500 Ks for an EV is pretty good. Right?
It's certainly
but
a good
the question
start.
is that just like cruising at 60 on the highway with a tailwind? How does that compute? What I think's interesting is that they're getting to a point in the US where they're getting decent range out of a vehicle.
A bigger
Of a
vehicle.
bigger
The Cybertruck
size
is
vehicle.
the Cybertruck is a big vehicle. Like when you see it, it's big. So it is impressive in that sense. I actually want to just raise one point. So we're all bagging out the way they look, but then step in to the tech underneath them, and that's where they really start. There's some really cool stuff going on there.
Can't disagree there.
Yeah. So
And funnily enough, I was about to bring that up, Matt. Funnily enough, and I'll share this now. Check out some of the modes that these. This is the Rivian, the hippopotamus, the hippos have, right? So,
Rock Valley.
it's literally got different. Like I know some cars have all those snow modes and all that fancy stuff, but this one actually lifts or lowers the suspension, turns on different levels of traction control, changes the valving of the shocks, all those bits in the vehicle. So, look, it's pretty cool. Like,
yeah, it's cool. We've never seen that sort of tech before in the last 20 years, have we, Dave? Vehicles that raise their suspension.
only if you're talking about Land Rovers, yeah, but
So just for the listeners, the modes that are on the screen here that you can't see, we've got rock crawl, rally, all-terrain, soft sand, and drift. So drifting in a hippo, probably not ideal, but it has it.
it has that mode. If you're going to drift, you
drifting
can
in my
drift.
hippo.
You can drift.
Yeah.
The other thing that goes into this, right, that I find interesting is if we actually look at some of the data, right, in the US, because as we know, quite often in Australia we follow trends around the world reasonably well. Now, Australia is pretty unique in a lot of ways, but we're talking about if we just look at the main brands of four-wheel drive / all-wheel drive EVs, the ones we've talked about. So there's the F-150 Lightning, the Hummer, the Cybertruck, the Rivian, the two different models of the Rivian, the Ute and the Wagon. And there's a Chevy Silverado EV as well, which I haven't really seen much of, but I haven't sold many of them either. But if you look at the data, we're just under 10% of all EVs sold in the US in this in 2024 were four-wheel drives or bigger SUV style EVs, which is interesting. So that's nearly just under 60,000 four-wheel drive EVs in the US. I'd be interested to see the data and how many normal diesel petrol ones sold as well. Probably much higher. I would say massively higher, but it is on the rise. So we can't just say it's never going to happen.
No. So here's the thing for me to round out. So I got all excited about the EV specifically. But there's other forms of vehicles that I think are worth considering. So a plug-in hybrid vehicle, in my mind, is a good option. So that is the difference with that is it's a vehicle that you can charge the battery at home and run around on battery and have like a battery mode, and it's purely an electric car at that point. But if you're 500 k's from home and you run out of battery, there's a motor, a regular internal combustion engine motor in there that can make electricity and run the motor, charge the battery and run the motors, etc. That concept makes sense to me because you can just keep putting fuel in the vehicle for that motor. You've now got what we've got already. And a lot of people think that this is all new tech. It's not new tech. Motors running as generators and charging batteries and running electric motors has been around in steam in locomotives, trains. I was about to say steam engines, yeah.
Steam engines. We're not that old, Matt. Come on, mate.
In locomotives for years, probably 50, 60 years. So it's now just coming into the automotive space. That sort of a vehicle, in my mind, I could see that being a thing. For sure. What I would want, though, is, like we were talking in a previous podcast, we were talking about vehicles like the Prado 250, where they're putting they're still having a traditional driveline where the ICE engine connects through to differentials with tail shafts, etc., etc. I want to see something like the new BYD Shark, where you're going to have an electric motor down on the axle, and there's no tail shaft, there's no transfer case, there's none of that. You've got an internal combustion engine, an ICE engine up front that is a generator connecting to, into charge the battery and to provide drive to the axles through the electric motors. That, to me, is where it needs to go. And I think that sort of a vehicle is going to be very cool.
And I guess to define that really quickly, I'll just jump in here quickly before I come across to you, Lucas, there is, if we're talking plug-in hybrid, so we're talking a vehicle that takes fuel and plugs in, so it does both, so it uses the best of both worlds, so to speak. A BEV or an EV straight is only battery, doesn't have any fuel, you can't add fuel to it. Once it runs out, just leave it. Get a tow truck.
Box of matches.
They catch fire real well too. And a HEV or a hybrid electric vehicle is just fuel. It doesn't. You can't plug it in. It's got a battery built into it to either assist or add something to its capacity or make up for its weight or whatever it is. And this is where the Prado 250 comes in. It is a hybrid, but you can't plug it in and you can't run it straight electric. So just to clarify, they're the three types that are out there. And within Australia, we're really only looking at PHEVs or plug-in hybrids as a potential solution to, I hate saying, making the environment better, because I don't actually agree. But on the same respect, it will save you some money. Right, if you can run around in electric mode and do that when you're doing your shopping and your 80% of stuff you do around town, it will save you money. You will spend less money than you will on fuel. But your vehicle can still go on those big trips potentially. Lucas?
Look, it's
Your thoughts? Any for your thoughts?
it's a real tough one, mate, and I think there will be a place, unfortunately. Will be a place because I just
Unfortunately,
it,
when
it
you're
is
putting a
unfortunate.
charging station in at the Springs,
Yeah.
Top of beer o'clock.
Yeah, that's right. You can only charge it if you make it to the top. But
that'd be great. That's a great idea. I love it.
but, the thing for me, I dumb it down a little bit and look at it from a different perspective of relate it to lighting, right? So 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we had HID, halogen bulbs, and that we were like, wow, these things are incredible. And then we've moved on to LEDs, and the evolution of the LED in the last sort of 10 years is just, honestly, it's mind-blowing. It really is. The power, the saving of power, the penetration of light, it's just absolutely mind-blowing. And I think EVs, or PHEVs in this case, will be a very, very similar situation where over the course of the next 10 years, they are going to explode and they are going to be bloody good. So they'll get more out of batteries. The batteries will be smaller. They'll be lighter. The engines will slowly get smaller and smaller. I'm talking, we'll be looking at that grill on your back wall there, Dave. It'll be like a 900 cc. Yeah. Petrol motor that probably won't even be used that much at all, if any. Yep. But yeah, the evolution is coming. I love the raw feel of a TD Nissan Patrol 4.2 and the soot that comes out of the back, and it's just but if I get in a EV, it's like I'm carrying around a Gucci purse all of a sudden.
my wife, we hired an EV, Alicia and I, in Melbourne about 6 months ago, and the first Leash is a FTE girl, loves the motors. She's worked on vintage cars her whole life, and she got in it, and the first thing she said is, "These cars are going to destroy marriages." And I said, "Why?" And she goes, "Because if you're not happy talking to your partner, you're screwed." There is nowhere to hide. Silence, right? It's just dead silence, and it's it's true. It's totally true. And she's literally driving it, going, "I'm speeding all the time because I cannot feel. There's no feedback. I'm not feeling revs. I'm not. There's nothing. It's just all of a sudden I'm beep 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 beep. I'm 90. I'm beep 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 beep. I'm like,
Isn't there a I don't know if it's a Cybertruck or if it was just a rumor I heard, but isn't there an app or something that you can get in these EVs that makes them sound like a V8? So you push the pedal and through the stereo system, it sounds like it's actually whatever you like.
I think it's I'm going to get the brand wrong here, but when we did, I was lucky enough to be part of the Top Gear Australia filming of the studio side of it, and they had one of the, is it Hyundai Iconic? I think it is. It's like a track. It's a full EV, but it literally, its sound system is I jumped in it just to move it onto set, and someone had left it set up in race mode, and it you go to take off, and it's this sounds like it's got blow off valves and full it's this is cool. It feels great, and not only inside the car. It plays it outside too, so everybody else can hear it.
So you can still get done for noise pollution.
Correct, in an EV. But look, don't get me wrong, I'd happily have one on a track day, every day of the week, right? But it's an interesting space. Now, we'll jump ahead a little bit now into these PHEVs, because when we first started talking about this a couple of weeks back, I was like, these are new in Australia. There hasn't been many plug-in hybrids in the four-wheel drive space. And I was pretty confident that this BYD Shark that's coming in realistically is the first one that is properly looks like a four-wheel drive. Okay, so every all-wheel drive hybrid is to some degree a four-wheel drive. If it's got a motor on every wheel, it is four-wheel drive, even though it says all-wheel drive, because it has the ability to drive all the wheels, right?
Yes.
However the technology works to do it and how it's limited is another story. But if we actually look back, I think it was 2019 or early. No, sorry, it was 2022, wasn't it, Matt? I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. But Mitsubishi,
I think it was 22.
Yeah, Mitsubishi took their Outlander FHEV across the Simpson Desert.
Yeah.
Right? And an Outlander is not a four-wheel drive. It's a mum's SUV that runs around town to soccer. It's not a Pajero. It's not a Pajero Sport. It's not a Triton. Yet that was a plug-in hybrid that they took across the desert. So these have been around for a while. And with that in mind, I did a bit of research. And currently in Australia, these are the range of the top two there are really the main plug-in hybrids that are what I would consider under the badge of a four-wheel drive.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, well, the Jeep.
Land Rover, Defender, Jeep, Grand Cherokee. Yeah, you could argue the Grand Cherokee is an SUV more so than a four-wheel drive, but I've seen plenty of them in places that a lot of other four-wheel drives haven't got to. So that's two big brands, Jeep and Land Rover, big four-wheel drive bloodlines, right? That have got got plug-in hybrids. And then we've got the Utes coming in, and these are both going to be 2025. We've got Matt's favourite, the BYD.
Why is that my favourite?
I don't know. You seem to like it before.
I talked about it once. All of a sudden, it's my favourite.
What animal does that one look like, Lucas?
Yeah, come on, Lucas.
Oh, mate, I'm
Get your picture book out.
It's got it written on it, but it doesn't.
It actually looks like a sloth. So
Sloth. It'll suit me perfectly then.
BYD sloth, not the BYD shark.
yeah,
I love it. Yeah. And then we've got Ford have announced their plug-in hybrid Ranger. They're going both ends of the market. They're going, we're just going to do everything.
Yeah.
We delivered everything. We've got a normal diesel.
Poorly, but we delivered it.
We've got a Super Duty, really heavy thing that tows lots, and then we're now going to have a plug-in hybrid as well. Yeah, what are our thoughts?
What sort of Ks are those all getting, Dave? Have you got that data on hand?
check that out.
Look, just to clarify, nice, Matt. Just to clarify, this is on electric only, right? So we've got to compare apples with apples. On electric only, so this is when you don't run the motors at all. So if you're running around town doing the shopping, this is the kind of range you're talking about getting from these vehicles. The standout being 80 Ks of the sloth / the sloth. Right? Yeah.
I suppose the big difference here is, like, between the EVs that we looked at a moment ago, like
can we just quickly, before you jump into that, because I'm remembering again that not everyone's watching. So we're going to just reference here quickly that the Jeep has a range of 52 kilometres. The Land Rover is the same. The BYD is 80 Ks. And no one knows for the Ford yet. Sorry, Matt.
Yep. No, fair call, man. Fair call. So earlier we had the Cybertruck and the Lightning, the Rivian, and what was the fourth one? Hummer. And they were all sort of the 500K, 660K, I think was the Rivian.
Yeah, lowest was 300 for the Hummer, I think, but everything else was up above 500.
Yep. So the thing with that is they're a dedicated EV. They don't need all of the ICE system, the internal combustion engine and all of that stuff to make these vehicles the hybrids. So that allows them to have more battery space, I suspect, to have refinements in that space, because it's very much dedicated to EV. That gives them a much bigger range. Whereas the plug-in hybrids, like we're talking about in this picture, they've got that ICE capacity, which it gives you the benefits of the EV, i.e. you've got motors down on the axles, you've got a motor on the front axle, you've got a motor on the back axle, so you've got a proper four-wheel drive potential there, and you achieve four-wheel drive through electronics.
As opposed to differentials and gearing and
although saying that, I don't know how the Ranger is going to do it. Like that is what it is. and same with the Land Rover and the Jeep. Like, do they still have a tail shaft from a transfer case to the differentials, and then there's an electric device motor in the transfer case gearbox area? Like, how are they achieving their supposed hybrid? Whereas I know the BYD literally has that electric motor down there on the.
Told you you liked it,
axle.
Lucas.
Yeah.
Fanboy.
Big news. Matt loves the Sloth BYD. What is it? Electric vehicle that is on ice.
Yeah, right. Right. Oh, dear. Oh. I should just go out and buy one just to upset you guys.
You should, and you should let me try and drive it up Bureauclock Hill.
I don't think I'd let you drive it up there. Not until I had.
Yeah. Oh, man. So
it's going to be interesting to see how long until the first BYD Shark does turn up to have a crack at Bureauclock Hill.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I think they're landing. Well, they're probably they're hitting the market early in 25. So so they'll be around.
Yeah. Okay. Look. For my 2 cents, very quickly, it's like I was just saying before about the LED lights. I think they're not there yet. 50k. What was the Sloths? The Sharks range. Was it
80?
50 or 80? 80k's. So basically, if you're going to look at it from a point of view, if you're going to go to the shops, right? You're going to go to the local shopping centre, get your groceries or what have you, and come home. You're going to use the electric to get out of the shed and potentially out of the car park, and that's it. And then what are you going to be on? Is the BYD? Correct me if I'm wrong. Like around 1.6 liters or something? Is it?
I think it's a petrol 1.5 turbo.
Turbo, yeah. So, it's got a motor in it that belongs in a
Suzuki Jimny,
like a Cooper S.
Yeah, but one of the things
it'll be a little tractor motor too, like a little Jenny. It won't be. I don't imagine it'll be super quiet. I don't know. It might be fine.
But here's the thing: those Sharks, they got some serious get up and go. Like,
well, that's the general consensus with electric, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like let's face it, anything that's electric, that powers off electric, push the pedal and it responds for 80 kilometres an hour in this case.
80 kilometres.
80 k's. Yeah.
So for Matt, what's that for you? Just into Brizzy, and then back again.
From my place on Sunday morning, mate. On Sunday morning, I can drive to church and back, and I'll be flat.
Yeah. That's the real concern, I suppose. And how is that vehicle going to perform with I can't even remember. I've lost it already. But 1.6 turbo petrol.
Yeah, 1.5. Yeah.
How is it going to perform purely? Like, obviously, it goes like a scalded cat on electric. How's it going to perform on 1.5 turbo?
And how does it do that? Like, how quick is it to regenerate that power? So can you drive all day on electric motors if that hybrid motor's running? That's the question, right? Can you drive all day? Are you replacing that power that the battery is using equally?
That's a really interesting...
Right? Like, if you're cruising, if you're wheeling all day and you're driving and you're using all the electrics because you need the power. Let's say you're in the sand, right? Fraser or Simpson Desert or something like that, right?
Yep.
And you're proper wheeling, hybrid. Is that diesel generator putting enough power back into those motors to keep the vehicle performing at its peak for 8 to 10 hours?
It wouldn't be possible. Because the only way it gets its peak is when it's got all the battery and the petrol motor being able to contribute to that. So let's say the battery's down at 25%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you stopping for lunch until it charges back up before you can take on the next
That's an interesting... You know what? This all needs to be tested, doesn't it?
Well, I think it's pretty simple, Matt. You need to buy your car that you love, and we need to come and drive it.
Yeah, mate, I like what you're saying, Dave.
I love being an influencer because when you're an influencer, you're so flippin' rich. That's what I've been told.
But you got to be rich to drive Toyotas.
We should try and reach out to BYD and see if we can get one.
We should, but let me bring something up quickly because this is interesting, right? how much do you... Let's talk dollars for a second. We're going to throw back to this.
Okay, yeah.
Right? How much do you reckon? We're going to go back to the US ones first because I did a bit of research on this. The Hummer, right? Hummer EV.
Yep.
How much do you reckon that is Australian dollars if you were to convert it?
200,000?
Yes.
Not too bad.
I'd say about 180, 160, 180.
So 150k Australian.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Still expensive.
Yes.
Right? The F-150 is 100k.
Yep.
Cybertruck's 130. And the Rivian's about 122 Australian.
Wow.
Right? Big dollar vehicles. If we go to the ones in Australia we're talking about, the Ford PHEV, that's going to be relatively interesting. Let's say, look, the current Ford's what, 70k-ish, around that mark. Generally speaking, these plug-in hybrids will add 10 to 15k to the vehicle price. So we're talking 85 grand-ish for a Ranger PHEV, and I'm just picking a number for that one. The Defender electric is 138k Australian.
Ooh, yeah.
It's big money for a Landy. The Jeep is 130.
Wow.
Yeah.
BYD is only 57.
The sloth.
You can literally buy two.
I could
buy
pop
two
that.
BYDs for the price of a Land Rover.
I could honestly, I could probably buy that BYD. I could probably afford to buy something like that.
But this is the thing, right? This
crazy.
is where I think these vehicles have to come down in price before they're even got a chance to play in Australia. Because I'm just being me, but this is funny, right? Because I'm about to say, who's going to spend 150 grand and drive their vehicle across the desert? Yet I own an Isuzu truck that cost me 112 with all the setup. I'm just sorry. I can't ask myself that question because I did.
No, you can't.
But would you do it for a vehicle that is as pretty as a Jeep or a Land Rover and take it in one of those conditions, or are you just driving it around the inner city?
Oh well, okay. The vehicle's built to do that sort of thing. One would assume. Like if you're buying that Defender, it is supposed to be a hardcore off-roader, and it should monster the Simpson Desert, any of that Cape York, any of those sort of things. It should just walk through it.
They've got the history, right? They've got the technology.
Can I just say on the history, right? Land Rovers, electric, and a Land Rover. No.
Lucas Electrics.
No. Just no. So I've got like the Range Rover and all that's, just anything to do with electronics. No.
Oh dear, yeah.
It's a good point. It's a very good point.
Fair enough.
Very good point.
It's a very look. At the end of the day, it is a very, very interesting space.
It is. And I think you're right, Matt. I think someone needs to, and by someone I mean you, but someone...
No pressure.
Hey, Matt, we've got some of your money we want you to spend.
Yeah.
Hey, look, if someone wants to sponsor the podcast, give us a call. That'd be great. But, look, I think these vehicles need to be tested because I think it'd be great to test one of these vehicles in a proper... scenario that's not from a manufacturer, right? Because we all know that Mitsubishi, when they drove across, they're not going to talk about, they're going to say we crossed the desert. Because that's the marketing line, right? They're not necessarily going to tell all the details of what happened during that desert crossing, whether it just ran on hybrid the whole time and had to use
took 6
traction
days
boards to get over every dune because it just ran out of power. I'm not saying they may have released more information. Look, sorry Mitsubishi if you have, and you did a great job. Go for gold. But I think it'd be good for someone who's not a manufacturer, and to some degree, while I think it'd be great to have BYD get involved, we'd have to say to them straight up, we got to look at this real. Like, how does it actually do it? Does it do it well?
You know what?
I don't know.
I'm going to throw this out there, and then Mrs. Mad Matt and I will talk. I do know people that can connect me into BYD, and I say that because I've mentioned before how I do the Mount Maxis driving demonstrations at the Full Drive show. So the opposite lot provide the vehicles for that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that my contacts there can connect me into it. So I'm going to have a chat with Mrs.
Let's ask them the question.
Ask them the question, and let's see if we can start a conversation about. My initial thoughts is let's see if we can get a BYD Shark and approach it from the four-wheel drive perspective.
Yeah,
I'm not interested. Every man and his dog will go out there and do the on-road. It can do this and that. But when you look at it through a full driver's eyes, like our eyes, what does it do? What won't it do? How well does it do it, etc. I think that would be really, really interesting, and there'd be a lot of interesting content to be had there that will help people. Who are going, you know what, 60 grand, 70, it's probably 70 odd on road, depending on your accessories and whatever. Yeah. Let's say it's a 70,000 on road vehicle and your plug-in hybrid. Can you imagine every tradie under the sun buying a dual cab ute for that money and not paying for the fuel to run it for
just
to go
when you're running
from
around
work?
Town and stuff.
And then they go, we're going to tow our. I think the Shark's got a 2.5 ton tow capacity. So
not
it's
huge.
Like, you know, we're going to tow a couple of jet skis, our camper trailer, whatever, and head off for Christmas
like
holidays.
Territory again. Jet skis.
You know, they're going to head off for Christmas holidays, so they want that sort of capability, but they've got the ICE motor there to make that happen. I think there could be a really interesting.
Look, let's park that one. Let's see where that goes. But I think to answer the question, pure electric vehicles in Australia at the moment, nah, don't see that happening. Plug-in hybrids with a good decent amount of range, we think have potential, and we think we'll see those over the next couple of years getting better and better. But the question is, are they good enough right now? And I think we're going to try and see if there's a way to answer that question going forward. All right, we're cruising through today. It's a good chat, and we're going to jump into our It's All About Adventure segment. It's All About Adventure. That segment where you find out the best places to visit, the best campsites, the best tracks, and all the places you want to go, right from the insiders. This segment is brought to you by Expedition Accessories.
And the
Every
Springs
week,
Full
Lucas,
Drive Park.
And the Springs Full Drive Park. It's the best place to go, says Lucas. Look, we've got a call-in question this week, and it's actually it's location-based, which is why it's in the All About Adventure segment, but it also is a good question that I think a lot of people get something out of. So let's have a listen.
Hey Insiders, Tom here. I got a 2007 NS Pajero. Got 2 kids and a wife, so I'm going to take them over to Fraser. I just was wondering what's some insights on what sort of gear I should need to keep them all safe and happy. Hey Insiders.
Well, sorry, I played it again, but that's all right. It's a good question. So the question to, I guess, recap it, it's a bit of a hard one to hear. It was obviously filmed on the road. Going to Fraser. He's got a Pajero. What's the kind of gear that he's going to need? And I think we'll add to that, where are some of the places that you should go on
Fraser.
Gari, Fraser Island, whatever you want to call it.
It's Fraser Island.
Awesome.
What was about respecting the landholders earlier in the...
The land managers, yes. Yes. I don't have to agree with everything.
I love it. Okay, so first up, vehicle choice.
Pajero?
Yeah,
Pajero.
vehicles.
Nah, the Pajero, mate.
Underrated,
will be fine.
eh?
Yeah, it will be
Underrated for
fine.
that kind of stuff.
Dakar winner, the whole lot. Like the Pages are pretty bloody good, to be honest.
Yeah. You've got one, haven't you, Dave?
Yeah, I do. I actually had it. My cousin's borrowing it at the moment, travelling around Australia, over from Germany, and we actually went on Fraser with him about a month ago, and he had the Pajero. I had the Mrs. Cruiser, and I have to say, the Pajero did it easier than the Cruiser, to be honest. Even though the Cruiser's a monster. Look, you're fighting that beach on those live axle cruises, and it's a lot of fun. But he just cruised over everything. You know, the Pajero is pretty basic. It's got a suspension lift, set of tyres, bull bar.
Yep.
That's it, really. Nothing modified on the motor. Just goes.
I think I think the car will be fine, mate. As far as equipment that you're going to need, and obviously, mate, you'll have a pretty good input on this as well. But from my perspective, would be water number one. Make sure you got enough water just in case you need it. Tyre deflator so you can control them tyre pressures. An air compressor, whether it be a vehicle mounted one or a portable one that you can take with you, so you can adjust those tyre pressures. Some recovery gear, like I said, a tread boards. You know, tread boards.
Shovel.
As much as tread boards are underrated, I think they are absolutely essential at the beach. They are a brilliant recovery device for self-recovery. Obviously, your food and all that sort of stuff, first aid kit, and a map. You know,
service is a little light on Fraser.
Yeah.
That's good points. I think the other things I would say, Tom, is don't overload the vehicle. If you this is the hard part. A Pajero is not a massive vehicle for a family when you're trying to camp out of it. So it can be tempting to take everything. Overloading your four-wheel drive is what's going to get you bogged. It's going to make the vehicle work harder. It's going to break things. So reducing weight is key. If you have to tow, and sometimes you do, a little box trailer that's built for the off-road, not just your regular cheapy box trailer. A little box trailer is a really good option. Make sure you know how to reverse it before
in the sand.
You get on the beach. Because reversing a deep
especially
sand,
if you have to back onto if you go via River Heads and you have to back onto the ferry to start off. That's always a cracker. I love watching people there. It's great. Like, I wish the inskip barge you had to reverse onto, because that'd just be gold. That'd be so good.
What was that video? What was that video the other day that did the rounds of old mate? I can't even remember what vehicle he was driving. It was probably a Y62. But he was trying to tow off the barge at Inskip, and he totally bogged it. Off the camper trailer was or caravan was on the barge, and he was on the. And he was roosted for days, and it was all bad. So,
it was a 200 series, I think. Actually,
I think it was.
It was a Toyota.
You'd know.
Okay. So what are we saying? Bare minimum accessories.
Yep.
We're talking. So Lucas has said plenty of water, but from an accessories point of view, we're talking air compressor,
tire deflator,
recovery gear, including self-recovery gear. That's your bare minimum.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think you need to worry about taking a winch on Fraser necessarily. No. A shovel and traction boards is going to get you out of a vast majority of bogging situations.
Yeah, and I just think good quality tyres. We said it at the start.
Yes.
You know, make sure your tyres are good. If your tyres are on their last 10, 20% life, don't flick them and get a new set.
Yeah.
You're going to go low pressures.
What Matt was saying before about a trailer, not only is your tyre pressure important on your vehicle, it's also important on your trailer. So always consider letting those tyre pressures down on your trailer, whether it be a van or a box trailer or I don't know.
Yeah.
But just keep an eye on that as well.
So if we're going to pick, we're going to literally, each of us, let's give our mate here our top 3 places he needs to visit when he's on Gari.
So 9 places.
9 places.
Can I go first? I don't want to go last.
No, you can go first.
Give it the same one. It doesn't matter, I suppose.
Look, if you have to say the same one, we'll say the same one. But if you can pick something different, that'd be great.
Yeah, okay. I personally reckon you've got to make the effort to get up to Sandy Cape. You can camp up there.
Book it in advance.
Book it in advance. It's not the most pristine place to camp, but it's remote, and I just love that. Back in 91, my first trip to Fraser Island, a mate and I had the whole Sandy Cape to ourselves for like a week. We saw like 1 or 2 other fishermen come through. It was so good. That was...
Sorry, mate, but that ain't happening this day.
No, you're not going to get that. No. So that's definitely one I would do. But even just go up for a day drive, you get to drive through Nagala Rocks and all that. That's a good value. Waddy Point, that's also a great spot to hang out. But also, I reckon do a day trip across the west coast. It's really nice. So Wathumba Point is really nice over there. There's a few
Day
other
trip's
spots.
a great idea because the sandflies are brutal if you camp over there.
Yeah, they can be.
Day trip's definitely a great idea to that side. Lucas?
So, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna take the easy option because I've only been to Fraser twice.
Mm-hmm.
But the three top picks for me is the Champagne Pools.
Yep.
I think that's a cracking destination. So do some research, guys, if you're listening. But the Champagne Pools are just like some rock pools that are right on the edge of the ocean. And as the ocean comes in, it makes the water look like champagne. But it is absolutely beautiful.
Best time of day, just to throw something in there, don't go there at high tide. Try and time it to go there as the tide is coming in. So you get in there at low tide as the tide's coming in. It's the best possible time to be Champagne Pools.
Yep. Agreed. Eli Creek's obviously a must. The fresh water out of there. And, you know, I don't, when we were there, I think I went up and floated down that, I don't know, a dozen times. And it just doesn't get old. The water is absolutely pristine.
It's great if you've got a designated driver on that day because it's really great to put the esky down at the end and just float down. It's about a beer by the time you float down. But don't be driving if you do it.
No peeing in the water.
No.
It actually turns fluoro pink
got
if
the
you pee in it. It's a natural phenomenon. I don't know.
Phenomenal.
But don't pee in the water. And number 3 is Mackenzie.
Yeah,
Lake Mackenzie.
Yes. All the swimming holes. Nice. Thanks, mate. You've taken out all.
I was hoping I'd done that because I'm hoping you can share something with me that I don't know.
I can.
But beautiful.
No, they're great spots. And we went to every one of those when I was up there with my cousin. Champagne Pools ticked that one off. Waddy Point, we got to see probably 6 dingoes, which they were really keen about. That was their big thing. They wanted to see dingoes. The girls are over from the young girls are over from Germany. We didn't do Sandy Cape because I wasn't going to put my Pajero in someone else's hands through Ngala Rocks.
Cool.
But been up there with my truck before and no dramas at all. My 3 would actually be there is a lake called Lake Alum on Fraser Island that is really, really cool. It's only small and it takes a bit of effort to get there if you're going over the western side. But I've been there 3 times and every single time I've been able to see little turtles in the water, swim up to the lake's edge when you're there, and you can kind of dangle your feet in the water and they come up and swim around. And that's really cool. It's not really all that well known. But
the drive in there is beautiful because you go through all the rainforest, don't you?
Correct. It's horrible in an Isuzu NPS truck. Yeah. It's got suspension on the fritz, which is when I did it last.
Lucas and I aren't that silly.
To the point that my rooftop tent moved.
Oh, wow.
So, it was not great. We've fixed that now. Got new suspension under it and it's much better. But the other one on top of that would be, I would have to say, Mahino, right? Mahino is a great spot. Everyone knows about it, but it is a really cool spot to get that photo that you stay at. And
that's the wreck.
The wreck, yeah.
For those that don't know.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And my third one would actually be, it's over on the western side, just down from the resort over there, Kingfisher. There is an old army, a whole bunch of old SAS army ruins up in the bush, just kind of south of Kingfisher. I'll have to dig up and I'll put it in the episode notes, the location for it. But there's a jetty that runs out into the water, old timber jetty they used to kind of come in and out of. And up on the hill behind that, there's a bunch of kind of old relics from when they used to do some training over there for the SAS or the special military side of that over here. And that's really cool because a lot of people don't really know that history of the island. And I'm going to add a fourth in because I just
you're a producer.
Because I'm a producer and I can. It's like Central Station is cool as well, right? It's a cool spot, especially for families. If you're on a bloke's trip, probably skip past Central Station. It's nice, but if you're with your kids, the little walk down by the river, by the little creek there, I think it's called Wathumba Creek, down through there is just beautiful. The kids love it. Nice boardwalk, wears them out so that they've got the energy out of the car because they're going to be sitting in the car for a little while to get back to the beach after that. But it's beautiful. The water down there is just crystal clear. It's a really nice spot to just go sit and take a bit of a breather while you're on your trip, especially if you've managed to palm the kids off to some other friends that are with you on that trip and just go sit down for a bit. It is really nice. We took the kids down there when we were there last time, and the kids were just like, trying to block us on the boardwalk and asking for tolls and just having a good time, and it was really cool. So that'd be my 4. If I had to pick 3 of them, I'd probably ditch the Mahino because you're going to go past it anyway, and those 3 would be
very good.
3. Yeah,
I've not been to those SAS ruins, so that's going to be something. Yeah,
it's very cool.
Have to go and check that out.
Maybe you can take your shark there one day. They don't have charging stations on Gary yet, though.
Ah, okay.
I believe, so you might be in trouble. But
okay.
All right. So thank you for that, lads. One more segment for this episode before we wrap it up, and that is this one.
Ay. That's a whole world of pain.
We don't offer marriage counselling, but I'm hearing that he's going to need it.
Walk in a puddle is what I should have done a few moments ago, but I didn't, and I got us into a whole world of pain.
It's time in the show for those moments that you kind of want to forget. It's time for Trail Fails.
Oh, it's a favourite of mine. And we heard about Matt's fail last week, or on a previous episode. We heard about Matt's fail. Lucas, it's all you this week, mate.
Have you ever failed, Lucas?
I drive
in your
patrols,
patrol?
mate, so that's a negative. Go
Right. Yeah, okay. So you
Mate, that's enough out of you, Matt. Lock it up.
Shut up, Matt. Shut up.
Matt's trying to jump in with all the moments he's seen Lucas fail. But let's let Lucas go first. And if he doesn't come up with anything, Matt, I'll open it up to you.
Yeah. Well, I spilled some egg on the front of my shirt one time. Look, I think it's, to be honest, I haven't really given this any thoughts. But there's one lesson that I should have known that I didn't know, and I was out full driving with a mate of mine. I was in a GQ patrol, needless to say, and the mate of mine was in a short wheelbase GQ patrol as well. So he went into this bog hole. Mate, this thing was the king of bog holes. Like, it was just absolute soup. And when the car came out of there, once we got it out eventually, the wheel arches were touching the tyre, like, because the tread had just built up with this mud. Like, it was wrapped, and it was all over the diffs, and like, it didn't look nothing like that. He should have walked it, so that's a fail as well, obviously. But he just ploughed straight into it, and this thing was bogged to its eyeballs. So I couldn't turn around. This track was really tight. I couldn't turn the patrol around. I was behind him. And the bull bar that I had has hook recovery points mounted to the 2 uprights that are beside the headlights that you can put a strap on or what have you. And I'm going back probably 20 years, so it's, I was a bit sillier back then, and take more risk, I guess. But and uneducated, so I've learned a lot. But what we done, and I just look at it now and shake my head. So I'm trying to recover this car in reverse, right? So
which you can do in a patrol. You can't do it in a cruiser, but
well, you blow the diff to smithereens in a cruiser. But anyway, doing it in reverse. So obviously I was limited to what speed I could do. So trying to snatch this car out, because we were trying to snatch him in reverse off the hook that's on the bull bar. Oof. And I was on a recovery point on the back of his car, which was a custom-made steel rear bar. So it was fit for purpose, as Matt puts it, not rated or anything else, because it was homemade, this rear bar, right? So I'm hitting this car trying to get him out, and the thing's filling up with water, and so it was just one of those sort of. And that was at dark. It was in the middle of the night.
It's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah, the 4 o'clock track.
Yeah, that's right. It turns into 12 hours.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm just trying to paint a picture here. So this car was bogged to its eyes. It was dark. It was starting to fill up with water. We couldn't turn around, so it was just quick sticks. Let's just get this thing hooked up and get it pulled out of here. So we hooked up this snatch strap. I think it would have been like an 8,000 pounder at 12 or whatever, but I'm hitting this thing in reverse, right? No one else in the car with me. I was in the car by myself. And I might as well have been tied to a 10-foot wide gum tree. Like, it was solid in there.
Stuck. Yeah.
Didn't have a winch. That's the only way we're going to get this car out, was me to just keep hitting it. You know, so
Ooh.
Unfortunately we kept hitting it and hitting it and hitting it and hitting it until something failed.
Yeah.
So the fail was the strap eye opened up and let go. So all the webbing stitching on that strap just let go. And this strap, like, I was hitting it, I don't know, probably high range and reverse at this point. I can't remember the speeds and stuff, but it was like the pressure and the kinetic energy that was in that strap and everything else was just next level. But anyway, this strap failed and it shot off my car. And I laugh now because no one was injured, but it's just stupid. But it shot off my car and buried this strap into the rear quarter panel of that GQ Patrol short wheelbase. So
just the strap, no
just
metal
strap.
on it, just the strap.
The hook was still attached to the bull bar. It was just the strap. Opened up, the eye let go, and it just shot off into the back of this GQ Shorty. And believe it or not, no word of a lie, he had just had this car all fixed up.
No.
He'd rubbed it on trees, and, you know, like, it had been given a hard life in its lead up to this, but it had all been fixed. It looked pristine. It did look really good. But this strap buried into the back of that car, I would suggest the tail light was now in line with the center of the rear diff. So the amount of energy that was in that strap, it just completely destroyed and caved in the whole rear quarter of that car in line with the diff. Like,
wow.
Because when it went off, like Steve's, he's a really good mate of mine, still one of my best mates. But he goes, "Holy smokes, what was that, man?" Different words than that, but along those lines. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, so I pulled up and got out of the car, and I was just like, oh, you know, because I knew how much effort had gone into fixing this thing up and making it look pretty. But and Steve got out, and he absolutely couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
So
just the strap. And look,
just the strap.
That's a really, because we all hear about, you know, toe balls breaking off, metal breaking off, etc., etc. And in my mind, I think the thing that does the damage is the big bit of metal, and it does, right? That absolutely does damage. But it's crazy to think that the strap itself does that much damage.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, just unbelievable amount of damage. Like, you wouldn't even if I don't know. You might as well have reversed into a tree at 40 k's an hour into that rear quarter. It just destroyed the rear quarter. Absolutely destroyed it.
There's so much about kinetic recoveries that people just don't have a concept of what they're doing. And the more I learn about them, the less I want to do them. I just don't even want to be involved with kinetic recoveries.
Yeah.
The last one I did would have to be years ago.
Yeah,
like
time and a place, but that time and place is becoming less and less.
I just want to find some other method. And I get sometimes there's applications where you've got to use it. But, you know, a lot of companies refuse to allow them to be done. And in the military, they've banned kinetic recoveries completely. They're just not allowed to be used at all because they're just so dangerous. So, wow.
Well, there you go. Great story. Great fail. That's good. So these are the kind of stories we want to hear about. Ideally, ones that ended well, much better than ones that didn't. So we're fine with property damage, just no personal damage. That's kind of how this goes.
Can I just absorb a bit more time here? Because I really want to hear the thought that Matt had. Like, he was like the egg on my shirt was no good. Come on, Matt. Share. What have I failed at, mate? What was it? Come on.
Well, the day you busted me race car. Like, seriously, dude.
Yeah, that was
as a good mate, I'm like, "Hey, Lucas, would you like to have a drive in a race car?" He's like, "Yeah, I'd love to. How about you show us around your property?" "Yeah, mate, I'll do that." So I'm sitting in the navvy seat, and he blooming busts the steering. I mean, what sort of behaviour was that? That was right after he'd busted the steering on another Toyota and busted his face into a tree.
That's right.
On the way back from a drive could have been even that day. We're driving back through his four-wheel drive park, and there's another Toyota with busted steering.
Yeah, there was too.
Springs, the place to take your four-wheel drive Toyota and break it.
Break steering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, look, it is patrol country up there in the Springs. So,
as a Toyota owner, I have to fight hard to even get access.
It's on that tick box when you come in. Do you own a patrol? Do you own a Land Cruiser? Sorry.
Just to clarify Matt's comment, I've got to fight to get access to follow the patrolls in his Toyota. Just to clarify that.
I love it. All right, guys. Well, thank you. That's this week's show pretty much wrapped up. Back at you the last little bit. Once again, we want to put out to the audience, what is it that you would like to hear on this podcast? What are some of the topics? Please shoot us in an email or a Facebook message to any of our pages, Matt's or Lucas's. You probably find mine a bit hard to find, but those guys are right out there. So shoot them a message, record a message. We'd love to answer your questions. Anything you've got for any of our segments would be great. And we will be back next time with another of the Good Oil podcasts. Matt, any last words?
Oh, no. Not really.
I love throwing this stuff at him last week. It's done. And it's like,
yeah, that's right. I got to go and have a chat with Mrs. Mad Matt about
his shark.
Are we going to buy? Yeah, I've never even owned a brand new four-wheel drive. I don't know. I can't see how BYD is going to give me a loaner for 6 months. So I'm assuming I got to put some money on the table. I don't know. I'm going to go and explore this.
Yeah,
you've got me thinking, man. You've got me thinking
now, Lucas.
Well, I'm going to throw it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much for everyone that's commented and the call in and stuff from the was it Tom? Was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So very, very, very appreciative of that, mate. But I'm going to throw it out there. All these electric vehicle manufacturers, right? Who's going to be the first up here at Clock Hill? Who's going to give me a car to demonstrate, and Matt and Dave, to demonstrate here at
Thanks
the park
for throwing that in.
how good, bad, or ugly your EV is, or your PHEV, whatever. Like, so we've got some awesome terrain here. We can demonstrate to people how good they are, how bad they are. So you as the manufacturer, will you stand behind your car? Will you give it to us to do some real world off-road full drive testing?
Is there a Cybertruck in Australia that we could get hold of?
There is one here.
Yeah, I heard it's up in Toowoomba at the moment, or up north.
Townsville.
Really?
Townsville.
Townsville.
Yeah, Townsville.
Let's see if we can get that on.
Yeah,
Get hold of that.
Yeah.
You know,
Interesting.
I reckon it's the ultimate test in Australia. The ultimate hard full drive test is right here in the park. Beer Clock Hill, test track out the front. You know, like there's bucket loads here we can test them at.
That'd be cool. It'd be cool to do a test there, and then potentially, you know, even take them out further and take on that touring aspect as well, and see how that goes. Because I think there's two parts, right? There's two parts. There is the pure off-road ability and how that goes. Because let's be honest, having a motor on all four wheels is better than any diff lock
100%.
that's out there, right?
Yeah.
Like you can as long as you can actually apply that power where you want to apply it without a computer saying, no, I'm not doing it anymore. I've overheated. I'm not playing the game.
For 50 kilometres in the sloth's case.
In the slot. Hey, like Miracle Hills, what, 300 metres? Not even that.
60 metres. 60
metres. We're
60
sweet.
meters.
We're within the range of every EV out there.
Can your EV do 60 metres? If so, come to Beer Clock Hill. 4 o'clock every Saturday afternoon.
And with that, we'll wrap up the Good Oil podcast for this week.
Thanks, legends.
See you guys.
Powered by Riverside FM.